right. Well, thank you very much, Robbie. Thanks for asking me to do service. Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm a grateful member of this and many other fellowships. And thank you all who are doing service. I want to start out with we didn't read who is a CA member, but I do love that reading. And this particular meeting is called Clear Cut Instructions. And that's what this book provides. See, this meeting also comes with a book. It's called The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And in there, you will find the clear cut instructions. And that's what I was like, I asked Robbie, well, what am I going to talk about today? And he said, well, pick a passage. And that's my go-to, especially in CA, because I think people forget the word all, not some things, all things. So this is pretty radical. And lately I've been sitting on page 563 because we read the traditions and see there's clear-cut instructions in the long form of the traditions. It says our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism. See, a lot of us, some of my friends here today don't even need to pick up a drink or the drug that is mentioned here, cocaine, and they're suffering the disease of alcoholism. So I'm really grateful for the room of CA because they actually follow the clear-cut instructions with its all-inclusive, because the next line says, hence, we may refuse none who wish to recover. See, there's a short form, but there's a long form. Since we're talking about clear-cut instructions, it doesn't say raise your hand if you need a sponsor. See, I didn't see that in the book, and I didn't see that on a page. I saw we make the approach. And so that's what happened in the room of CA that I was in. Someone made the approach. Because remember, friends, our new fellows that are just joining us, they're coming off some type of mind-altering substance, and I don't care what it is. They can't raise their hand. They're scared. Remember what the book says? It says we're all driven. If you're a real addict, I think someone's might be unmuted. We are all driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. And that's what happens to me. I'm driven by these things. That's what the book says. See, I love people who come in here, number one, and don't have a big book. Because how are you going to make it through the meeting without one? We're supposed to talk about the directions in the big book. See, that's what meetings are for. The meetings, it says to carry this message. It doesn't say to carry Nikki's mess. So if you're new, friends, get a sponsor. Oh, but I didn't see the word sponsor in the book. Well, that's true. That's another thing. Exact instructions, isn't it? Another instruction in here is we are to search out another alcoholic and do this, try this again. See, if you don't find a sponsor or a sponsee, it says to search out and get someone who's eager. But let's go back to page 14, because that's what I wanted to talk about with my friend Robbie and everyone else here, is that this is a simple program, but it's not easy. A lot of these instructions in here are warnings, right? They're also statements, not just instructions. And it says, I must turn. See, that's an instruction. And then it says all things. And that's where a lot of my friends in the program die. They turn over their cocaine or all mind altering substances, whatever that may be for you. Then they turn over alcohol, because you read the alcohol card. Can't do much if you're high and drunk, can you? Then it says all things. See, a lot of my friends forget the all, which is your sex, and that's not an outside issue because they talk about it on certain pages in here. They forget to turn over, hey, this line is an instruction on page 120. It says we never arrange a person's life, but we forget to turn all things over. And then I start arranging people's lives, including my sponsors, because I think I know better. Does that happen to you guys? Where I start arranging and I forget that I'm to have no plans and designs, I'm less and less interested in these things. So that's a big instructions that my friends in CA forget. And this is not an overnight matter. So I'm already warned that I don't have to turn everything over at once. Because I think sometimes we come in here and it's too overwhelming, isn't it? Because I can't differentiate between the true and the false. That's why I need somebody who's armed with the facts to help me go through these clear cut instructions. That's what this is about. And it does say, like, these are revolutionary and drastic proposals is to turn all things. Because I hear this a lot. Nikki, you're going to scare the newcomer. Well, the newcomer isn't scared enough because they think the elimination of their drinking is all that's required here. But it says that's just a beginning, right? Further down, it says it's imperative. That's an instruction to work with others. So my sponsor in CA is really cool because the first thing he told me is, Nikki, you're going to be a sponsor. He didn't say I need to wait a certain amount of days to get a sobriety date. I did appreciate, though, in this meeting when you read the preamble and it said, if you haven't taken a step 5, maybe you should sit and listen. Because, when people call me and they say, Nikki, what do I do? It's like, or I'm feeling this way, or and I say, page 112, I've read this book. I know what's wrong with you because I'm armed with the facts. I've read this book. And if you're anything like me, we're in the grip of a progressive illness. We get worse, never better. And when I honestly want to quit and I can't control the amount of what I'm taking, then that makes me a real addict. And I love Cocaine Anonymous because it says, it doesn't matter to us if you drank or what type of drug you used. If you have a desire to stop, you're welcome here. See, in other rooms, they don't offer that solution. And I was recently diving in deep with a friend and it was like, you only need one room, AA. But now we have 300 fellowships, according to my sponsor. I wouldn't know these things. But one room is all we need. And one book is all we need, which is a set of instructions. Further down on page 14, where it says an instruction that's imperative for me to work with others, it says if I fail to perfect. Now remember, we're not perfect, we're perfecting. We're not perfect because it says we're not saints later in the book. We're just progressing. We're getting better. We're doing better daily. Okay?
I got it says, newcomer. Hello. Sorry, it's about then. Hiya. Are you all right?
Welcome, you're home, and we're just explaining the clear-cut instructions of our big book. So you're right.
Draw me Camden on road off.
We'll just have to pause everyone or mute everyone if you don't mind, hosts. Thank you.
Oh.
And it says if we don't perfect and enlarge our spiritual life, and here's an instruction through work. It doesn't say just sit in a meeting and read the steps. It actually says work. And a lot of us, if you're like me, in active addiction, I don't know what work is because I'm too busy being driven by my self-pity that I can't even manage work. Make sense? That's 100 forms of self-pity. How are any of us going to get through the day? And then it says self-sacrifice. That's an instruction. We have to self-sacrifice for others. I mean, new friends, this is really radical. I know you're like, I'm just here to stop doing cocaine. I hear you, and I get that. But see, it's my duty. It says on page 29, here it is, not to tell you a drunk-a-log, not to tell you about how I burned my life into the ground, how I'm beyond human aid, how I lost everything, including the will to live, and I was on a murder-suicide mission, homicide-suicide, that's where I go. It says on page 29 that I am supposed to describe in my own language. Here's exact instructions for those who don't do this. I'm supposed to describe in my own language and from my own point of view, how I established a relationship with God. That's what it says on page 29 early in the book. See, I'm not here to establish, I must stop doing the unmentionables. And I don't need you guys to know what I do in active addiction. Read this book. Look for the similarities, because I'm Bill W. I'm Fred. I'm the jaywalker. I'm everybody in this book. I am every single page of alcoholism on this book. But I'm here to tell you how I formed a relationship with God, because that's what the book tells me to do. So I have to work. I've got to get a sponsor or guide to take me through this work. I need to get a home group that has a solution base where people are making the approach, not sitting back here saying, raise your hand. I need to get into a meeting where everyone is welcome, because that's what the book says. We don't deny anyone. This is really, we've gone real far off the rails, haven't we, as a fellowship? Because this is the real purpose. This is another vision for you instruction. It says, it became customary. This is on page 156. Some of you guys, I'm going to repeat this same talk because I'm doing a talk on clear-cut instructions of the big book on Friday. It's getting recorded. So when people go, I don't know what to do, Nikki, well, it's right in your book. It's all in your book. And it says on page 159 that it became customary to set apart one night a week. So I am, according to this book, to set apart one night a week, not every night of the week. Well, I don't know why people are going to meetings there. I mean, at first, yes, I need to be separated from my old lifestyle. So I need a meeting. Oh, I think the first 2 years I was in one every day, twice a day. And that's all pre-COVID. So I had to physically get up and go. But it says it becomes customary to set apart one night a week for a meeting to be attended by anyone and everyone interested in a spiritual way of life. See, that's the vision. So if you're in a meeting who's not welcoming everyone and anyone looking for a spiritual way of life, run away from that meeting, because that's not what the book says, right? The book says a lot of things too. Another exact instruction is you pause when agitated. And if you're anything like me, living in 2023, guess what? I'm agitated almost every minute. And then someone today said something about triggers. Well, if you've heard my sponsor talk, life is a trigger. So we don't use that word in my fellowship. But what we do use is everything's an opportunity to grow in effectiveness and understanding. What page is that on, Nikki? Well, that's on page 133. It says that I'm to cheerfully capitalize on any problem as an opportunity to demonstrate God's omnipotence, the principles of this program. New friends, if you don't like the word God, we're looking for power. Remember, the directions say we are coming to believe in a power. And then the book tells us where to find it, deep down inside. See, I also come from a fellowship, because God showed me how to create the fellowship I crave, that speaks big book. Now, some of you guys over, I think we're in Ireland, right? Like I'm always needing a translator over on your part of the continent, but we all can speak the universal language of big book. So if it's not in the book, why are we speaking? If you have a sponsor and they don't have a book between you and what you're doing, why are their lips moving? Because it's just my opinion. And the book, hey, gives me an instruction. I'm to have no opinion on outside matters. See, I can share my experience, strength, and hope, but an opinion, it doesn't say to do that. Exact instructions. Further down on the page 15 where we were just reading, it says, my wife and I, well, I don't have a wife. I have a future husband in Luxembourg, and hopefully I'll get there soon. But here it is. It says, I like to put my sponsor my fellowship and my sponsees and I abandon ourselves with enthusiasm. Hey, there's an instruction, new friends. It says abandon with enthusiasm. The idea of helping other people. Now, in order to abandon yourself with enthusiasm, you must put down the crack pipe. If you're in my country, some people fill a needle with fentanyl. It gets really weird over here. You've got to put down whatever you want to pick up and abandon. That's a key word. Have you guys been in a room where it says surrender? I didn't see that. It says abandon, and it says it on page 63 also. And then some key words. See, the book comes with key words like sincerely. That's on page 63. But on this page that we're on, it actually says enthusiasm to the idea of helping others. And if you're like me in active addiction, I can't help even myself. If you are like me in active addiction, you are driven, and I talked about what we're driven by, but you're selfish, because that's what it says is the root of the problem. Not that bottle, not that baggie, and not that huge, and not my bank account. That's not the problem. This is really serious stuff. If you're new friends, it's all in the book. I haven't left because there's nowhere for me to go. Because I got armed with the facts. That's what the book says. It says we're now armed with the facts. Another instruction, pause when agitated. Well, take it deeper. That's why we must know these instructions, because it says pause and count your blessings. Are you doing that? That's an exact instruction. Or are you sitting in a dirty diaper going, why me? Suffering from the disease of, let's do it, alcoholism. I, self, me. And a lot of that time, it's sober. You guys haven't over there across the pond, because in my country, we're having people kill themselves sober, because the book tells me that I can't manage personal relationships. I'm prey to misery and depression. I can't be of real help to anyone sober. So all the instructions are here. We just have to be able to read and take action, because another clear-cut instruction that it says, and you guys read the acceptance prayer, and a lot of people are like, oh, only the first 88 pages, Nikki, only the first 164. Well, it's a book, and it's filled with a lot of pages, and I like to know them all, and I got to stay here in order to do that, because I can't learn all these pages. And then remember, it's got to be a working part of my mind. But anyway, on page 420, when this meeting read the reading of acceptance prayer, on page 417, on page 420, it says, we never just sit and do nothing. That's a huge instruction. That's a clear-cut instruction. We never. Friends in the back of the room, when you see the word never, I would suggest not doing it. It says, we never sit and do nothing while waiting for God. How about interchanging these spiritual principles for waiting for humility, waiting for responsibility, for tolerance, for love, for forgiveness to tell me what to do. Instead, I do the next right thing. Remember, the book tells me that I've been given brains, which means I'm not a monkey, or my little 4-pound dog that's barking like crazy right now. Opportunity to practice. This is what the book says. I mean, the instruction, I don't know what to do. Or wait, did you, when it says must not drift? Or did you, when it says, may you find God now? Because see, we have to smash the idea. That's what the book says, that we're like other people. So we don't get the luxury, hey, of not only picking up drugs and alcohol, men, money, food, all those things that other people do, including myself. We don't get the luxury of what? Of thinking like other people do. See, it says our thinking will be placed on a much higher plane. Our thought life. This is a thought life program. Oh, Nikki, I was told the other day you mentioned God too much. Well, As you guys know, if we remove that word from this book, we won't have a book. I don't make a lot of friends these days because I've said it. I've gone real AWOL. Tuesday, I had the cops at my house. Police, sorry, that's the correct term. Fire department and the ambulance. Because sober, my sponsee decides to pick up the phone and call him. Well, what do they do when they're together? You know where that goes. You know where that goes. And so then a nightmare happens. And in the book, it says sometimes we have to go to sordid places and we have to bring people into our house. Now, it's 2023, so I'm not going to give her a detox bed in my house because there's tons in Toronto. Hard to get one, though, because business is booming. This is really radical. It says many. Know the word many. It doesn't say a few. Many pursued into the gates of insanity or death. So I mean, this is what it looks like in 2023. And she didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to. These people don't want to hear it. And I said, come back to the rooms. Oh, I relapsed. I'm too embarrassed. Well, it actually, it says it will lead to a discovery of God. It says it's a boon. And if I'm a modern woman, so I had to Google that word. It's a treasure. Your relapse is a treasure. If you make it. Here, a lot of people don't make it because it's just crazy out there. So don't risk it. This is a lifestyle. Hey, are you ready to follow the instructions to live this lifestyle? And it says we don't do it perfect. We progress. It says it's a broad highway that gets very, well, I'll add this on, narrow. Because step 6, we have to be willing to what? To stop doing the things we want to do. And then we have to get what? Humble in step 7. Another direction. God. Can someone tell me what page it's on when we do share back where it says call your sponsor? Because the exact direction is ask God. If you cannot hear God, then you call the first number that you have programmed for times like this. It does not say call mom untreated Al-Anon and tell her how shitty your life is. Remember those who do not, those who do not understand? Why are you going to grandma? The instructions are all there. Properly appointed authority. Those who do not understand. Here's another instruction. It says we thought well. Are you thinking well before you choose the person or persons with whom to take an intimate and confidential step? That's an exact instruction. The rooms are sick. Not everyone's healthy in here. So you better think well before you tell those intimate, confidential things to. See, the exact instructions in step 5 don't say, what are your exact? It says exact nature. Why am I telling you all the details of my actions when you need to know my nature? And my exact nature, I'll tell you guys here, because I'm not ashamed of it. Because it says my past is my greatest asset. And so my exact nature for Nikki M is that I'm arrogant. I self-loathe. I've got false pride. I'm rude. I'm suspicious. I envy everyone except Justin Trudeau. Sorry, I don't mean to drop names. I'm selfish. I'm self-seeking. I'm dishonest. I exaggerate. Oh, no one likes me. That's not true. That person in the corner doesn't like you, but other people do. I'm intolerant of everybody. I'm greedy. Aren't you guys greedy? You don't share your drugs with anybody. Do you share your money? Do you share your love? Do you share your patience and your tolerance with anybody? Because they're deep down inside of you. You can't go to the store and buy this stuff. I'm really lazy. You'll come to my house, you'll see it's clean, but I'm emotionally lazy. I need you to make me feel okay. Because once the drugs stop, you know, or you know where that goes. It starts out very, not that I'm doing drugs in my mom's womb, but I'm seeking something from a small age, isn't it? Are we all seeking something? I don't care what it is. I'm impatient because I want it now. No, what generation am I? Someone tell me Z, X, Y. I don't know. I'm the generation before that really impatient generation. My daughter's 30. That's the now. Well, the only thing you can find now is God, is this power. See, let's take it back. Work and self-sacrifice is the exact instructions. And some people get it right away. And I'm not talking about taking the as grow slowly. We grow slowly into this God consciousness. I had to hang around the rooms for a long time. 4 years without a big book. You can imagine. Psycho. That's what I was. And I needed it says a psychic change. See, psychic doesn't mean a fortune teller I go to. It means a mind and soul change. I'm probably going to need to know when time's up because I didn't look at anything, Robbie, so you'll give me a minute warning here. Because I could go on and on about this magic book and the instructions for living. See, if any of you guys are in relationships, it says next time you have a heated discussion or argument with anybody, it's a privilege to say. See, it tells you what to say in this book. That I'm getting disturbed, new friend. Can we talk about this later? Gives you exact instructions about making an amends. Number one is that you've got to get permission. A lot of people just run out and go AWOL. And then they get real twisted when the amends didn't go the exact way because you didn't follow the exact instructions, madam. Really radical stuff. So you have to, what does it say? We have to get permission. Then we need to go to the properly appointed authority. Then we need to ask God. That's what it says. Exact instructions are, we do not criticize. Pick me. That's the one I never, ever follow. I think I did it here today. I see you, Robbie, you too, twinning. I mean, this isn't for the faint at heart. This is not for the faint at heart. The other instruction that I can tell you right now that nobody, when they call me and are out of their mind, is following. They forgot that their creator is loving and all powerful. That's what the book describes it. It never says this is a punishing evil energy that wants you to rot in hell, Nikki. It actually says this is the loving, all powerful hand of God, and it was proven. That means it's a fact. So, new friends, if you don't have a loving, powerful hand of God helping you, get one. That's why we're here. We're all beyond human aid. I couldn't find it anywhere else but of Cocaine Anonymous. That's where my sponsor actually comes from, CA. I tried other rooms, but it was right here where I found my recovery. Because I'll be honest, you guys, everybody in CA, give yourself a pat on the back. We follow the clear-cut instructions. There isn't a 12 and 12 in here. There isn't a NA book. There isn't an easier, softer way. We go through the original, undiluted blue book with the white pages with the black ink, and we do recover. Because if you read the instructions, it says it's a seemingly fake news, hopeless state of mind. So it says I have to stay here because I'm in the grip of a progressive illness. It says every day is the day. There's an instruction every day. So new friends, I'm always the bearer of good and bad news. Miracles are waiting for you, but you never get a day off. You never get a day off. And then the other instruction here, I don't even know how long I've been speaking, but it tells me very clearly to burn. It doesn't say gently, just tell this people about this, Nikki. It says burn into the consciousness. And I got to fight through a lot of monsters in people. Remember those 100 forms of fear? I got to fight through it. Remember those 100 forms of self-delusion that you think that you're no good? Me, I can see clearly because I do the work. So I've got to press my clear perception on you and tell you, you are a loving child of God, hand designed to do this work with me. Come on, let's do this. See, I've got to burn through that self-seeking because you're so selfish. And then I got to tell you that This is all I think on page 98, that I've got to tell you that no job, putting anything before this program, that's my job. See, that's of maximum helpfulness to the newcomer, not to hide the word God, not to wait for them to call you when you raise your hand in a meeting, and certainly not for you to say, I'm sorry, you're not welcome here. That's an outside issue. Because the reason I had the cops at my house was, yeah, okay, they're using cocaine or crack, but violence, you know where this goes. I don't even need to tell you. Oh, and then I got Al-Anon mom and dad and community, and guess what? I've read the book, so I'm unaffected. I'm unaffected and spiritually fit, and just go, that's what it says. Many pursue it to the gates of insanity or death. See, not that I'm immune, but I know the book. And I know what the instructions say, because I looked my whole life. I'm almost 50. And I looked my entire life for an instruction book. Are you guys like me? Did you look for it everywhere? When it says, well, number one, the power is hiding inside of me, but I looked for it in every book. Because remember in this book, it says there are many helpful books, but I don't read those helpful books until I know this book. That's really radical. When I sponsor, it's like, what are you doing reading that book? You're not speaking big book fluently. I'm sorry, I don't understand you. Because those helpful books are helpful once this becomes a working part of my mind. I need this. I need you. I can't. Hey, there's another instruction. There's another instruction. Not just we. Another instruction, my friend read it today in a meditation this morning, is that I'm to test my new thinking. Okay, I see you there, Robbie, 1 minute. So let's just end here, because we started on page 14, but let's just go back one page. Read the book backwards. I've been doing that lately. Remember, I started on page 563. So here it is. Here's an instruction that we all need to do today. It says, I, Nikki M, am to test my thinking by the new God consciousness within. Not in the crack pipe, not in the bottle, not in that guy I want to kill, not my son I'm worried about. See, it says common sense would thus become uncommon sense. That's a promise. It's a radical promise. And then here's the next direction. It says, I'm to sit quietly when in doubt. Another instruction, I'm to ask only for direction and strength to meet my problems as this power would have me be. Another instruction, I'm going to end it here, Robbie. Never am I to pray for myself. Ism, I, self, me. Never pray for myself unless I can ask that it will bore usefulness to others. Because I'm here. Hey, if you don't know why you're here, read page 77. I'm not even going to tell you. Open your book and read it. I love CA. I love my life. I love you, Robbie, for inviting me. And I love the clear-cut instruction